Yeah, we are live.
Okay. Oh, I gotta change the thing. Hi, everybody. Delay. There's a delay.
Gotcha.
We have Carla is with me today, and we're gonna make chipmunks and chat.
Yay!
Yeah. And I think I have everything I need. I never, so I use a worksheet for my projects, and I'm still currently using this piece of, lined paper from I don't know how many years ago. I never updated it, but I'm not going to try to do that while we work today. But it's pretty simple, and we shouldn't have a problem. I'm just saying this in case we do, then I have forewarned you. I need to change my thingy bobber here. So we'll see how far we can get today. It should be doable. I do want to show toes on the back and the front. In the tutorial and in the supply pack, we do not do toes on the back. And then when I remade mine, I did do toes on the back. So to save my energy and sanity and to make this live stream fall within the time frame that we like, I'm only going to demonstrate toes, and then we're gonna keep moving on. But let me tell you a little bit about the project and the supplies that I have and the tools. This is a two to three. It's a, if you've done several level 1 projects, and then I'd say, it's similar to the basket bunnies. It's just bigger, and it has the tiny toes. So a little tricky, and then, but not complex in pretty much the same facial features as something like a basket bunny. And then of course we have a little bit more detail in the markings on the pelt. So I have 14 gauge wires at 16 inches and 22 inches. And we're going to make the armature together, but I just made this one so that I was prepared. And then I have some 32 gauge wires, which is what I'm using for the toes. I have 2 of them. I'll cut them in half. That gives me our 4 feet. I have a 22 gauge wire for the tail, although this could be a 26, doubled back on itself. This is just the way that I went with it today. And I have a few pipe cleaners in case I need to cover any more wire. So a variety of wire options here. I have my needles and my felting surface. I have a Zoli tool and a face ace, and they just come in handy all the time. And I do have a digit widget in case you like to use this for the toes. We're going to be using the first step. This is 3/8 of an inch, but because it has a little bit of width, it gives you a toe that's just almost half an inch, really. So this is good for this project. And then in terms of, scissors, and I did get out some power wax because I've been using that on the toes. Totally could use tacky wrap or swax if you have that available. It just helps the fiber stick, makes it a little bit easier. I have off-white chunky core. Now he's tannish cinnamon color overall, so any core that you have available you can use. Like we gave the copper away at the last Fiber Fairy, and I am going to use that quite a bit. But you could use off-white chunky core, you could use copper, you could use caramel. I have some caramel here. Any of those is fine. We do need some white and black. So I have Serafina white, and I have black somewhere in here. A little bit of black. And then I was just going through scraps and found I also have carob in case I want it, and I have charcoal in case I want it. don't need all of those things. I also grabbed some oats, and I picked up some brown, and I picked up some of the New Shetland. Oh, will you look this one up for me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the names yet. This is either Vixen or actually this might be Romney. I think this is okay. Carla's gonna look, but again, not necessarily needed. But any top coat in the this golden brown cinnamon realm is great for making the pelt. Oh, I also have some wheat, but I don't think I'm going to use that.
Sorry.
That's all right. Take your time. Do we have any questions yet?
Not that I saw.
Angelina said there's a repeat happening.
Yeah, I couldn't hear that.
Okay.
Also, she has this open in multiple tabs.
Yeah.
Audio drops as Sarah turns to the side.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Usually it's not a problem.
Did you say Vixen, Sarah?
Vixen is this is not as bright as Vixen, I don't think. I should have looked it up before.
There's Vixen.
Maybe it's the cinnamon. Or is the cinnamon more red than that?
Cinnamon seems more red.
Well, I'll get it. I'll get it before we're done here. Alrighty, so we're going to switch or do primarily overhead, and we're going to start with the armature. Yeah, I feel like since I made chipmunks and made the video tutorial, I have just refined techniques a little bit, have some different fibers. Okay, we're going to take this 16-inch wire and fold it in half tightly and twist that just under 3 inches.
Hey, Sarah, I'm actually going to zoom in.
Okay. Okay. Oh wait, you do it from there.
Yeah.
Like I won't see it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if your twist is just short of 3 inches, that's good. More than 3 gets a little bit, oh, you moved me over too. It's fancy. Head gets too big. But some people have commented, chipmunks are smaller than this. Just, I get it. They are, but I also like to work at a scale that works for me and is fun for me. So that's why they're a bit bigger than they are in real life. And then the second wire, find the center and put it on at the base of the neck with the wires. This is the way I hold it, with the wires pointing back at me. And then I bring that long wire back 1 time, 2 times. So I try not to let this shoulder twist get more than about 1 inch long. And then you got to do the same on the other side, always twisting them internally. And I did not explain, but I put a little curve in the head. And then the 2 back wires we bring together for 4 inches. So I just bring them together naturally. You don't want to squeeze the shoulder closed. You want to keep this triangle of space. And then I'm going to twist until the distance from the arm to the end of the twist is 4 inches. The twist isn't 4 inches. That would give it way too long of a back. So from the arm to the end of the twist is 4 inches. And that should leave you a healthy 5-inch remaining leg length, hind legs, and the front legs are 4 inches of remaining wire. Any questions yet?
Somebody's asking if we can show examples of the old and new Chipmunk.
Sure, that's a great idea. We'll do that while everybody's catching up. So this is an old one, and I didn't change too much. I toyed with the idea of a plumage tail, but they don't really have a super fluffy tail. It's actually a little sparse. It is fuzzy, but it's not like really thick. So I stuck with that technique. And then the other thing that I noticed when I was looking at chipmunks is that I was putting the eye maybe a little, I can't remember if I thought it was low or high. Let me check. Oh, I think I thought I was putting it a little too low, but the head didn't change too much. And there's always about, a dozen ways, a dozen routes to the same look. So I honestly don't remember exactly how I changed the face, but we will get to that in terms of technique when we get there. And everything's pretty much the same. Tiny little, tried to make the hands tiny. This is the first one from long ago. This is my new one. Did add the toes to the hind feet and similar markings. And I used a pelt, so same technique. Mostly, I think what changed is, my skill and the materials, I'd say.
They're cute.
They're cute. My stuff was a little bit more caricature-y, and I mean, I'm still not super realistic, but yeah, it does change. As do we. Okay. So on the front leg, we want a backwards bend at the elbow, and that's 1 inch down. So that's that backwards bend. And then we want the forearm with the foot triangle to be 2 inches. So I'm going to make my triangle bend, or just shorter than that. So I'm going to make my triangle bend, it's probably at more like about 1 3/4 inches. Yeah, just short of 2 inches. I am bending my armature wire to the left because I'm left-handed. And so when I wrap my toes, I need the access from the left. If you're right-handed, you're going to bend your armature wire to the right. That way it's open to the right. So as you wrap down, you can access inside the palm from the right. And then we want to make this a nice, neat triangle, tiny little triangle. So using the pliers, I make the bend quite a sharp corner. And this is a bit of extra wire. You could wait to assess that, bend that around again, try to stay under 1/2 inch. You want this as petite as possible. And I just don't need all this wire in the arm. So I'm cutting about 1/2 inch off. And I try to make, instead of making it real loopy, I try to make this very triangular and flat because that helps hold the digit widget better than a big loop. Oh, I got that one. Good. Any questions?
If you could use the Chipmunk supply pack.
Mhm.
That have everything needed, and I said yes, and that you had some additional colors that you were playing with.
Yeah. Yeah, the Chipmunk supply pack is great for the chipmunk, obviously, and then, but colors are interchangeable, and I'm most definitely using some today that are not in the chipmunk supply pack, but I think you'll be able to discern what is what. I'm pretty sure the chipmunk supply pack, we make the majority of the project with off-white chunky core, so you'll have a lot of that. And then in the hind legs, you want to bend a hock, go 3.5 inches from the twist and bend it backwards like we did the elbow. But then just use your thumb and press that thigh forward. That's his knee. You could make a strong bend there. If you do that, it's about 1.5 inches and then 2 inches. So it could look like that. But on these smaller projects, sometimes I just throw my thumb in there and make a softer bend. Gives him his little thighs. Their little thighs and knees get totally like encompassed in their pelt. And then again, we want to go a little less than 2 inches. We want to go 1.5 inches to the end of the foot and then make our triangle and put our toes. If you don't plan on making toes in the back, you can make that just a bend at 1.25 inches and just have it fold back on itself and just try to make a nice little flat foot.
Jokes are going to be as good as Kyla's.
You got one? Is that what you're saying?
Some of them, I don't know. The chipmunk jokes, there's an ongoing theme with nuts, but
Oh.
why was the chipmunk late for work?
I don't know why.
Traffic was nuts.
That's, historically our jokes are about like that.
Keep it clean.
Oh, that's funny. So I have a half of a 32 gauge wire. On the front legs, we can start right at the top of the leg and just get that going down the leg. And this could act as our cover of the aluminum gauge. And I wrap until I get to this outside corner of the palm, and on the right side anyway. So I'm here, and then I'm going to make the 4 toes and then return to the wire. So just put the digit widget on. Now in this case, I do not do an extra wrap in between toes. I just go around the wire and around the digit widget and then twist them into place. Don't overcomplicate this. And then I go around the side wire and then return it to the arm. Going the same direction so that everything is nice and smooth. I don't know if you want to zoom more, Talbot.
Yeah. At this point, it might be better to do it in the camera.
Oh, okay. I can't do that. You know what I mean?
How long are the back legs total?
If I were to, this is 3.5 inches, but it's turned now. And then this is 1.5 inches. ends up at about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches.
Reach out, Zoom.
Sure. I think we should probably, it's a small project. I think we should tell it's going to be in shot.
Right. 3.5 inches total.
It's 3.5 to the hump, and then the foot is another 1.5 inches. So 5 inches. We switched cameras. So the overhead camera no longer had. I used to have a remote control, but it's better quality. So we thought it would be better to have the. It's always something. It's always a trade-off. Yeah, I think that's going to be helpful.
You used the digit widget was
The
eighths.
the first step. Yep.
First.
Yeah. So I'm going to go down the arm, out to the corner of the palm. Chipmunks, this is a really fun project because they're, life size or thereabout, and tons of character. I think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wish we had them around here.
I know we don't really. I guess they like it cooler. They like the mountains. Like they're in the Poconos and they're in the Catskills and stuff.
Yeah, it says they're supposed to be throughout North America, but I'm trying to find one.
Right. We're going to go ahead and get all these toe wires on. Now on the hind legs, you want to start, you can't start all the way at the top or this wire won't be long enough. You could if you used a whole wire on each side. We can do that. No, I'll just use a half. If you used a whole wire on each side, you could start at the top, go down the leg. But since I have these cut in half, I'm just going to start mid-leg here. We'll just have to add a little more wire or pipe cleaner to that spot. Milo has a nice little snore going on behind me.
Jean asked, chipmunks don't have thumbs?
I don't know if they do or not, but I'm only making four
I think
four fingers.
Watching the older video earlier today, and I think initially Kyla said that they had 5 fingers, but then she came back and questioned.
Let's see. I don't know if I have a picture of that.
I have 5 fingers and 5 toes.
Yes, they do. Go for it. at this scale, 4 is all I can handle. I'm not worried about the chipmunk police. You all are the chipmunk police. The reference picture I have up is super cute. by the time I finish making little wire toes, I'm ready for some. I'm very excited to just wrap some core wool around this and get it going.
Their stripes are pretty.
Yeah, they're really neat. They have a lot of color blending that's fun to play with. Okay. So I can take either a 22 gauge or a 26 gauge. Yeah. Let's do a it doesn't matter. I don't know what you guys have, but I'm gonna do a 22 gauge because that's what I did on that guy. So I want to leave at least 5 inches for the tail. I'm going to start with 6 because I know I have plenty of wire. And then I'm going to wrap the body. And I just go through the chest. I don't worry about these side shoulders. And up the head. And then I want just enough wire to fold over the tip of the nose. And I like to leave if I only have one wire on a tail, I like to leave it coming off the back, not behind, like underneath and between the hind legs. And now all I need is maybe a pipe cleaner going across down the hind legs here. You can use any kind of wire that you have on hand, but I do like to have a consistent wrapped aluminum wire. He's looking for his bed.
Do one with its cheeks full of nuts.
I have done that before, and I've done it with a mouth too, like with an open mouth. Yeah, that would be fun.
So they can collect as many as 165 nuts a day.
Oh, a day. But you're gonna say at a time. That's crazy.
Be so stretchy. Stretchy cheeks.
Trying to remember if I did anything. I think I just used. Lately I've been doing a lot of reverse needling, and so it's sometimes fun to put a darker color underneath and then pull it out. But you have to really think ahead. So I'm going to start with the copper. And if you have that or caramel, trying to remember in the tutorial and in the supply pack, we might have even used oats on the fingers. So I'm gonna do a hand, and then we're gonna move on. But normally I would get. No, I'm gonna back up. It is nice to have a little bit of wool on the legs, so let's do that. So we'll wrap some of the body, and then I'll do a hand, and then we'll keep going. So for the body, I still am going to stick with copper on the legs and head. I might switch to off-white chunky core on the body. They don't have a complex body. It's really just there's not a lot of shapes there, so shouldn't take us too long. I'm going to work with, this is on the thin side, so I will be dividing this only in half. If yours is thick like this, this caramel is a little thicker. Off-white chunky core is definitely thicker, but I don't recommend using it on the legs. You're going to want to split it into quarters. But I'm going to work with about 5-inch strips split in half, and we're going to wrap all 4 legs. So I saw some people saying that their weather was crazy. It's okay here. It's actually a beautiful day here.
Finally feeling like summer.
Yeah. And then when you get to the end, I have too much. So I'm going to pull that off as soon as I realize that, rather than, ending up with a big chunk of wool on the end. And if I wrap tightly and compress it, it's staying thin and connected. So when I start on a shoulder, I let the fuzz, I kind of go around in place 1 or 2 times. And that, now I can pull on that and it's not slipping off. And then I start to move down. So yeah, these felt alongs are a good time to ask questions or, dive a little deeper into technique and stuff, because I can answer you guys. All right. And whenever I finish a wrap, I try to really fringe the pieces out, smooth it around itself, and it'll stay put. But if you need to, you can just tap it with the needle. Where do chipmunks have their babies? In a nest? And what do they, I've never seen a chipmunk baby.
It's like a small chipmunk.
Are they bald? Are they like
There's something
super
that said
embryonic? Like what?
They're especially adorable as newborns. They're called kits, kittens, or pups.
Okay.
And usually in litters of 3 to 5. Imagine something that looks like a pink jelly bean. And they usually leave the nest by 4 to 6 weeks of age.
Okay.
It doesn't say, I guess it's a nest then.
Yeah. Is their nest in the ground or a tree? They're not really tree animals, I don't think.
I think they are, they prefer subterranean living. Some make nests in logs or bushes. Most prefer to dig vast underground burrows. They typically have a camouflaged entrance hole, and the tunnels can go from 10 to 30 feet.
They judge the log and bush chipmunks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're like those log and bush chipmunks.
They have food storage areas and a nesting chamber that is kept immaculately clean and lived with leaves. So they're tidy.
All right, let's do the tail and the head with, because this is, like I said, so thin. I'm going to take 8 inches, but I want to be able to go out and back on both. So I'm going a little bit longer, and I'm splitting that in half.
Oh, people are saying they can't hear me.
Yeah, you got, I was thinking that.
I'm not loud enough. Sorry.
Talbot's gonna move the microphone again.
Okay.
I think I could move it. I think your audio is fine. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. We're all we're all having issues. It was a full moon last night. I'm gonna chalk it up to that. All right, I'm gonna start at the base of the neck, go out to the tip of the nose and back. And I might try, I mean, this is a time to experiment. I'm going to try maybe using charcoal for my next wrap so that I do have that dark color under there. This first head wrap is just to get the wire covered. So I didn't do anything fancy. I just went out and back. We'll get fancy on the next one. And then same thing with the tail. How did my tail end up so? You know what? I'm not going to fold it over because I feel like it's already stubby. You know what? I'm not going to put up with a stubby tail. I'm going to make it longer. I think I told you guys 5 to 6 inches and mine ended up less than 5, so. Do a little tail repair before we go any further.
I have such a hard time getting the turn on the nose right. Any suggestions?
Yes. And I think, who said it? Who's she? She?
Julie.
Okay,
Juliana?
what she's referring to is coming to the end of something and going back. So I'll do it on the tail. And what I think about is the wrap has a direction. So as I wrap down the tail, I'm slightly angled this way. Then when I get to the end, I right away want to angle back this way. And that really locks it down. If I were to take it more of like a 90-degree angle to the wire, it just wants to slip off the end. So you need to get that lock down. And it's subtle, so it's hard to see what I'm talking about. But here I am, I'm going this way still. So I'm shooting that way. But then right here, I want to turn right around and go angled back. And that really locks the fiber right where you put it. So let me know if I didn't answer that question, if that's not what she was referring to. But what I was saying about like the chipmunks being a fun project, I like the ones like when we're making stuff that's life sized and they all go together. Like the birds and the mice.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like it's more fun to play with them.
It's fun.
When they all go together, when they're all the right scale. I don't like in our photographs and stuff, I don't like having shots where there's like, you know, a gigantic rabbit and then a moose that's like only twice as big. Okay, I'm gonna switch to off-white chunky core for the body. I could keep going with this core. It doesn't matter, whatever you have, because we make a white stomach, you know, pelt, and we make the chestnut back pelt. So whichever color you have to work with is fine. Now this is going to be thicker, and I'll be breaking it into quarters, because the copper was on the thin side. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm going to take 8-inch pieces, break them into quarters.
Juliana said yes. That's exactly what she needed.
Okay, good. And now we need to wrap the body and the chest. So let's start on the body. And I'm just going to go butt towards chest. I'm not going around the legs at all. I'm just sticking to the body here. And I'm going to wrap. I'm not going to travel too quickly. I'm going to stay right overlap a lot so that my wool runs out right about here. Because I'll hit the chest with another piece. So you all can, stab as much as you want to. It is a very satisfying part of this process. But I just found as I got better at wrapping, and if you are felting to sell your items and want to increase your productivity and your pay per hour, then practice your wrapping, get that tighter, and then you just really don't have to stab until you're doing details. Then with our second piece, we're going to do the chest crisscross. And many of you know this very well, but I'll go through it slowly. I'm going around the body just to get it started. And then this time, let's see, I'll hold it this way. I'm going to go over his shoulder. And then I'm going to come under the opposite armpit. So I've crossed the chest. And now I'm going to go over the back so that I could go under this armpit and over this shoulder. And I just made an X. Nothing, I'd never wrapped around the legs. It's all just a crisscross right on the chest. So I have enough fiber to do it again. So I have to come around over the shoulder, under the armpit. And then I have to go over the body so that I could go under the armpit and over the shoulder. Anything I can help with?
Someone was asking if you could make a squirrel or is the body different? And Jan replied, Chipmunk is closer to a red squirrel. The proportions on the black and gray are a bit longer and larger body.
Yeah, that makes sense. The red squirrels are so cute. Yeah, I would make a squirrel armature a little bit different, but the techniques are all the same. The look is very similar. The tail is a little bushier.
That link you did was studio.
Whoops, sorry.
So it doesn't just let you know.
Thank you.
What did you link?
I was trying to post a link to the Sleepy Squirrel video.
Oh, okay.
But I think I did it from our YouTube account.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we still have 2 more pieces of core, so let's go ahead and get those on. And I'm just going to fill out the body more. So I'm going to go back. I'm going front to back this time. And then I'm probably going to do that again. Concentrating more of the fiber towards the tail end.
I wanted to go back. Jean commented that she ordered the Power Wax a while ago.
Okay.
And when she got it, the lid was split.
Okay.
She's been keeping the container in a Ziploc, but is there something better, like a snap top storage container?
I mean, Ziplock's fine. And we also can replace that for you if you would like us to. They are changing the packaging. It was cracking a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I have This
We have
one,
multiple.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, they're changing the packaging. Okay, so I have a nice hot dog shaped chipmunk right now. Hopefully, you do too. And I'm gonna do a foot, and then we'll keep going on the body. So I'm gonna, I don't know, I don't know how to get this. I guess I'm closer than I think. Okay. So I'm gonna use copper. Could use You could use oats, you could use caramel. They sometimes, like this guy, he goes sort of light to chestnut. This guy, I just stuck with the chestnut the whole way down. Up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and pull 4 tiny strips. This is actually a little remnant of a piece. So they're very thin little 2-inch strips. So I isolate a finger. If it helps you to go around the palm first, you can do that. And I mean, this is practically similar to like a piece of embroidery thread in terms of thickness. I put a little bit of power wax on there. This is that technique we were talking about on the nose in miniature. Takes practice, but I would say just make sure you turn around at the end right away. So that teeny tiny piece of core that I pulled is still too much. I could try to do another toe with it, but I find then I end up not in a good spot because I either don't have enough or. And then you can put a little bit, well, I'm going to wait to do the power wax on top until I have all my toes wrapped. Thing I love about our core is that you can work with it super bulky, or you can take it down to this minuscule amount and it's still smooth. Sometimes I feel like a broken record doing tutorials and explaining techniques, but I know some people are just joining us, and just you don't have my voice in your head yet. So I draft as I wrap, and that keeps everything thin and smooth. And that's why what was a 2-inch piece, I actually ended up with 3 inches left after I wrapped it because I thinned it so much as I wrapped. Tacking down these little wispy ends each time so that I know that toe stays good. And they have petite little wrists. I really try with this project to get that sort of tapered arm. The raccoons are like that too. Like they have a tapered arm, a tiny wrist, and then these little feet. Raccoons and beavers are both projects that I think would be fun to do bigger. but like not life size. I don't know.
Do a wombat to go with your koalas.
Oh, I'm not familiar with the wombat.
They're really cute.
Okay.
Although they're pretty just roly-poly brown. I don't know that.
Not super interesting.
Yeah, would give you a lot to work with.
Okay, I'm going to go right into the second toe with the same piece of.
Are the toe wires just folded back or are they each twisted?
Just folded back. I do tighten them down on the armature. Like I do pinch them and tighten them down. So they might have one twist in them, but I don't really get into twisting them, end to end because it thickens them up and you lose length. It's just not needed. I'll hold this up so you can see them and unwrapped in 1 second.
Joyce wants to do baby beavers.
That'd be fun. I don't know what a baby beaver looks like either. Have to brush up on my baby business. Gosh, I wish he had a fifth finger. Okay, here is. Yeah, my toe wires are they're just folded over. Pretty much. But I do kind of mess with them to make sure they're tightened down. Okay, we are abandoning feet so that we can just play and have fun. I'm going to wrap the head with I'm gonna try the charcoal, but otherwise you're using your core wool, off-white or otherwise. And I want a 6-inch piece, and I'm definitely going to take 1/4 of this is super chunky. So kind of like the sizes we've been working with. And this time I'm going to do the crisscross. And this technique works for joints, it works for heads, and what it does is it fills in this space without just building out a gigantic log. So I'm going to wrap around the back of the head. I mean, we can call this the neck, but really they end up with no neck. And then I'm going to go over the nose. And every time I'm going to skip the top. And then I'm going to wrap around the back of the head and go over the nose. And then on the last one, I'm going to go smooth out the whole thing. I'm just going to look real quick. Right here.
You haven't done a sloth, have you?
No.
Somebody would like a sloth tutorial.
That'd be fun. Don't they have 3 toes?
They have really long
Mm-hmm.
claws.
Okay, and we're going to do a second wrap on the tops of all of the legs. So I'm going to use the copper. I'm going to use 6 inches. And I'm going to use halves, but you may use quarters. With this wrap, I'm going to start on the shoulder, go down the arm. I'm actually going to go just past the elbow a little bit and come back up. So I'm going to anchor the fiber on the shoulder, wrap evenly down the arm. I'm about halfway down the forearm. I'm going to turn around and come back up. And then return to the shoulder. And that begins our sort of cone or triangle shaped change as you go down the arm.
When you finish the toes, do you put wax on them again?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Oh yeah, I was going to do that, wasn't I? We can do that real quick. You don't have to. You don't have to use wax at all. But it doesn't really change the look that much, and you might as well get those well-wrapped toes very secure. And if they're not so well wrapped, the wax can help hold everything down. So I just put a little bit on each toe, and then I make sure that I twist it the direction that I wrapped. And just smooth it in. Yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that. I did mean to do that.
Lisa says she loves your pony tutorial and she's made 3.
Awesome. It's a good one. That one got a redo. Goats got a redo. Fox got a redo. Bunny puffs. So hopefully you're watching the newer one. With practice, you'll really become adept at putting the wool where you want it, knowing how much wool, controlling what it does and where it goes. And I'm stabbing gingerly in this area because there's all that shoulder armature. All right, hind legs, same treatment. Well, actually, this is going to be a 2-step process. First, I'm going to exaggerate the curve from, the knee to the hock. And I'm going to do the crisscross wrap with this next piece. So I'm going to go around the thigh and then around the middle bone of the leg. And then up around here. And then down around here. Until I use that whole piece. So this kind of filling in the crescent like we did on the head. Except this I want to felt really flat. I want to get this as, on the flat side. So all this fiber that's in, here's the wires right here. All this fiber that's in here, I'm trying to sort of flatten out. I'm going to do this side right-handed.
Getting crazy.
I know. So we go around the thigh. It's going to be terrible. And then around. Sometimes I don't flip my fiber. This is like one of the only times that it's okay not to flip your fiber.
Jean asked, the fox got a redo, the online tutorial or a fox felt along?
It was a new tutorial. Fox felt long. We've never done that. That's a little bit ambitious. Well, so's the chipmunk. We'll be here all day. No, we're good. As long as we're not trying to do all these toes, we're gonna cruise along now. Okay. Now we want that second piece. And I'm going to do the same technique that we did here. It goes back, start on the back, hold it down, go around the leg. This time I'm not going to wrap down. I'm just going to stay here. I'm going to go around the leg twice and return to the back. If you go around once, that's fine. And then again, felt it flat. I like to felt from the inside of the leg down because I can really put that leg down on the surface and go at it. This is also a good project. One of these guys. Helps you not have to flatten stuff out to have a good, strong surface. All right, start on the back. Go around. And return. All right, I don't want to give him a chest really, but I think I do want him to have a little belly. So let's take some off-white chunky core.
Just quickly, the wire you used on the tail was 22 gauge, and then the fingers is 32.
Yes, and you totally could use a 26 on the tail as well. All right, I'm going to take a nice big piece of off-white chunky core. A little bit more than 6 inches, maybe closer to 8. And just fold it up by hand into a, we never know the name of the shape. So I tilted it just a little bit so that this part is closer to 3 inches and this part's closer to 2 inches. What's that called?
The length?
No, the shape.
Oh,
Trapezoid?
loosely.
Loosely. I'll do it again. Because I started out doing one thing and then I was like, ooh, quick. Okay, so I took my piece and instead of just rolling it straight, I gave it a little bit of an angle so that I was making one side a little bit fatter than the other side. And I'm doing that because I want to put it on here and I want it to get narrower towards the chest and wider towards the legs. And I'm going to let it span the belly and go onto the thighs a little bit. I don't like this.
Trapezoid is correct.
Trapezoid, thank you. What's a rhombus?
It's like a slanted square.
Ah, yes.
What needles do you have in the pink pen?
I use 38s I use 2 38s. I don't like 3. It feels like too much. Look at this. He's already looking like a rodent. We can start talking to him now. Almost. Maybe a few face shapes.
Wonky rectangle.
Here's an extra rhombus in case you need one. We should, this is on another note, since we're live. We should have the fibers that we need for the Highland cow and the ostrich soon, so that's exciting. Okay. I think we should make the face, and then it'll be tail and pelt. So I feel like I wrapped this pretty well, but I want just a little bit more substance before I start putting face shapes onto this. I don't know how to assess yours, but like if I press on this, it's still a little, it's not quite as substantial as I want it. So I do still have a quarter from when I quartered that, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on the tight side so that I really have it's not going to change in shape much, but I will have for sure a very solid base here. So this is like a core head girdle that I'm putting on. And I just pulled that very tight. So it didn't change much, but it's definitely tighter now. So whatever you need to do to get your little guy with a nice solid head, that when we just start needle felting and you're learning to add shapes to the face, getting them firmly attached into the wrapped head is a challenge for some people. Oh, I like his little hand. Turned out well. Okay, the first thing we want to do is make a chin ghost. This one. And I'm going to do that on the Zuli tool rather than the face ace because I want it to have a little bit of substance. The face ace would maybe end up too tiny. So I'm going to use the end of the Zuli tool. This is another great place to practice turning around. That's what this faceted edge is for. And I'm going to do it with Serafina white. You could use off-white chunky core, but I want about a 4-inch piece of a quarter of off-white chunky core or Serafina white. And then I'm going to wrap only the last, I'm really shooting for an inch, but it's going to end up longer than an inch. But just the end of the round part of the tool here. And then I just went around a couple times to get it going. And then I'm going to go out onto the faceted edge and back. And then I'm going to do that again. There's a lot of ways to make this shape. You could do it on the face ace. You could do it just on the felting surface. You could even do it just by, here, we're going to do it. I'm going to do it another way real quick so you guys can see the difference because this ended up a little bit pointy. So I got to stab that back. But I'm going to show you a different way. But I basically made like a fingerprint. Same amount of fiber. You can even just wrap the tool. Don't worry about the end. Just wrap the tool evenly, firmly. It'll taper naturally, and then stab one end in on itself, and that will give you your little chin.
You caught some attention with the ostrich mention.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I'm super excited. I don't know if you guys can see him. He's maybe off camera. He's behind me. So there, 2 chins done 2 different ways. Super easy. Thank you.
Would you like more water?
I would love more water. I don't know why. It was that Wawa. I'm so thirsty. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. All right, I'm gonna save those, and let's just make some shapes, because I think it's easier to make the shapes, set them aside, and then dive into where they all go, rather than worrying about, am I building this right? So I just made two chins. You only need 1. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're gonna make some cheeks. Okay. I'm going to use the flat side of the Zuli tool, and I'm going to use copper or caramel. And let me get my reference image up here. Well, let's use oats, because he changes colors from the top of his cheek to the bottom of the cheek. So oats is a little bit more middle road. And then like Gen Tan would be actually a great color, a perfect color. But I didn't grab any of that, so I'm going to work with what I got here. So let's do 6 inches, split it in half, and then just wrap 1 inch space, a little bit of travel back and forth, but not too much. And I just keep drafting it out and going around. And do that 2 times. Okay, we have cheeks, we have a chin. Now we're going to make a muzzle. This also can be done a number of ways. My favorite is the double-decker taco. It just goes on in one piece. It has fringe, it has bulk, it has everything we need. I'm going to do that in off-white chunky with a little bit of Serafina white on top. I want the bulk of the off-white chunky core, but the whiteness of the Serafina white. So I just pulled off a square of off-white chunky core that was sort of as short as I can make it, which is about 2.5 inches. And then I want to take a quarter of that. And I'm actually going to restack it, because I don't want it to be very long. And then I'm going to just put a little bit of Serafina white on top of it. This Serafina white is so white. Pretty cool.
What is the second chin for?
The second chin, doesn't everybody want to? Is because I showed 2 different techniques. So I just ended up with 2. I'll pick which one I like better. I like this one better. There. We only need 1 chin.
Store more acorns.
Yeah. Now I'm going to flip this over so that the white is on the bottom. And we're going to make a double-decker taco. So that looks like a stab across about 1/3 of the way down. Like a regular taco, you just stab it once and fold it over. This is a stab across 1/3 of the way down. Fold that over. stab about a 1/2 inch of area. Kind of making another line a 1/2 inch away, and then fold that over.
Diane said she has to.
She Oh gosh. I know it's hard to felt and listen to what I'm saying. So they're like, wait a minute, she has 2 chins. Okay, so I have a piece here that I can do a lot with. And I'm just gonna blab because maybe you guys are catching up and because it's just a good opportunity to talk about the joys of double decker taco. So I have a rounded edge, I have some substance, and I have fringe. I have some give side to side. I can go ahead and hold this firmly centered and give it a tug, and I will make a little dent in the center. So before I even put it on, I can kind of give him that little muzzle that they have. Now, if this is too much fiber, I just see that I did that off-centered. So it has enough give that I can pull some off the end. It's a really flexible way, literally flexible, to make a shape. I'm just checking my reference here. Not checking my DMs. All right. Oh my gosh, here's a little chubby cheek one. So cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. Did I make a forehead? I feel like no, I don't think a forehead because I feel like this is a lot. So I won't worry about that right now. And then we need 2 little black eyes. I do these a number of ways as well. You can go around the end of a needle. You can go around even the end of the face ace. Just make sure you do it tightly. But you want 2 little 2-inch strips. However you want to get that. I'll do it on the face ace since probably most of us have this same tool. I'm just going around as tightly as I can in one place. A little slight crisscross keeps it from spanning out too much, but it is going to end up a little bit oval. So just make sure that you take the 2 sides and really push them in so that you have little squares or circles. You could fold this in your hand. You could use a toothpick. You could use something smaller. What you doing over there, Talbot? Talbot's so he's like, oh. Okay. Let's start putting this together and then we'll see what else we need because I know we're going to need eyebrows but we're going to see where we are with it. The first thing we want to do is put on our chin. And if you have not yet, take a second to stab the end nice and round. That's a little strong. So I'm stabbing at an angle to really round that out. This is quite fringy, which is good because we want to be able to stab it into place. Row. I'm going to use a single needle so I can just, that one's, their chin gets quite recessed. So I am tucking the end of it right just behind that wire. So with the chin on, you can see how we've a flat bottom of this crescent and the head is rounded on top. And then we're going to put the cheeks on. Now, when you wrap a shape, one end will be more thick and blunt and one end will be more tapered. Put the tapered end towards the front and the blunt end towards the back of the head. And see how I said they sort of end up with no neck? We're kind of ignoring this. It's just a little tiny space. You don't want your piece like down on the shoulder, but just on the side of the face here. Now the cheeks do kind of hang down past the chin a tiny bit. So I'm just letting that fringe come towards the nose, mostly tacking it down on the top, really tapering at the front. And then at the back, I want this bulk. So I'm going to stab it in on itself. So the angle that I stab is really important. So it's not just having the shape, it's what are you doing with the shape? Okay, so I'm going to show you guys, if you want to look up at the camera for 1 second, I'm going to show you from all angles. So at the back of the head, I kept it really thick. I didn't pull it around, or I actually stabbed it into itself. From the top, you can see how much it sticks out. From the side, you can see that it's just lower than the top of the head, and it's actually hanging past the chin just a little bit. If your one piece didn't do all of that, it's okay. There's chances to, adjust or add more. And then towards the front, it's really tapered because they really have quite a small little nose. So now the trick is putting the second piece on in the same way. So I'm really tapering it at the front.
Kyla's making an appearance.
Oh, at the shop or on the line? She chiming in with a.
I'm missing seeing you all today.
Yes, I'll miss her too. All right, cheeks are on well enough to be firmly attached and rooted, but not so hard, not felted so hard that I can't keep manipulating and felting. There is a limit to how much something will felt. So if you've been felting faces and frustrated because things won't attach, or they got too small, or they got too hard, you're probably stabbing a little too much. Okay, now we have this little muzzle piece. That's going to go on the end here. And I'm first going to, now there's a wire there, so I have to really make sure I'm first going to stab the center in as well as I can. I'm being careful because I know I have a lot of wire in there.
Hey, one thing said 8 to 10 inches long, but then I'm seeing 5 to 6 inches long.
For what?
They're smaller, the chipmunks,
Oh.
right?
Yeah. I'd say they're 5 to 6 inches probably. I mean, we made our body 4 inches long. So by the time, we've got a head and wool and stuff, it's going to be a little more than 6 inches, but not too much bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can just put the top back, fringe back. and then really shape this. I'm going to let this blend into this oat cheek. This is where you need your reference image and a little bit of imagination.
A chipmunk's heart beats at 350 beats per minute until winter hibernation.
Little wackadoodles. What's our heart rate? One. Don't you want it like one something? 120-ish?
I think
70 resting?
Yeah.
Okay, so
resting.
activity it goes up to that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. I was thinking of Orange Theory when it, like, so in this exercise system, like you wear a thing and it puts your heart rate
Yeah.
up on a board
So you feel
for
guilty.
everyone to see. I'm like, I'm in the red, but I'm actually good. I'm okay.
Minus 81 doing this.
Yours is 81 right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know my. I just yoinked Evan's Apple Watch out of his room and started using it, but I don't know how to look at all that stuff yet.
Sure, it's got more than my Fitbit.
Okay, and now we're gonna make a little nose, which we haven't done yet, but let's get these eyes on. I just keep looking at my reference here. All right, I want the eyes close to, not, on the top of the head, but they do come up close to the top of the head. And I'd say about halfway between the nose and the ears, so. And I'm just going to use a single needle and go around the edges to keep it nice and round and full. So really just resting right on top of those cheeks. You know what I didn't grab?
What?
Is like any kind of pink. They do have a little pink in their nose. Not sure if there's any in that. Oh, my guy has some full cheeks. Oh my gosh, they're so funny. It's all right. I'll skip it. Oh, I can work with that. Thank you. Alrighty. We need a little nose, and I'm just going to use, I've got some caramel here. I'm just going to fold. I've got a little segment. I don't know, like a square half-inch, I guess. And I just want to get a little pointed nose. I think I did use some pink. I'll put the pink in here. I think this is left over from the ostrich. This is pomegranate. Let's do it this way. Hold on to that caramel. Pomegranate and probably bunny bear. And break it down until I have that little square. So it's like a little thumbprint worth of fiber. And then I'm gonna just felt a tiny triangle. Usually by this time people might stop working and they're just watching. I don't know what's happening. And then I'm going to put the tip. Let's see how their little nose works. I feel like, yeah, it really does come down on the muzzle. So I'm going to put the tip not all the way to the bottom of the muzzle, but almost. Stab that in. And then turn the nose up.
Do you know what a male and female chipmunk are called?
I do not. If the babies are kits and pups, or pups. Well, no, I don't know.
It's unoriginal. A male is a buck and a female is a doe.
Oh, okay. Well, then the babies should be fawns.
Right? You're just going to copy it.
All right, this is a cute little nose making a little triangle. I'm stabbing little nostrils in here. We can get very detailed. Okay, now we need two brows, and I'll do those in off-white, and underneath we'll just put a second one underneath, and then like a forehead triangle. But I want to get the brows on first because I want the forehead triangle to just cover the edges of the brows. So the brows we can do right onto the face ace. I have two pieces of about 2 inches of off-white chunky core. This is going to be too much, in fact. Let me split this in half. And then I'm going to go at about the third dot and go around 1, 2, 3. I'm not too worried about fringe because the marking is pretty distinct. So that piece that I had went around 4 times. Just to give you an idea in case your piece was bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, if one side's narrower, you're going to put that towards the front. You just go over the eye. And they have a little broad, flat forehead. So this starts to extend that rounded, base out each direction.
How big is the nose?
The nose was a little triangle. I don't know how to measure it. It's just got to be the right size to it's just a tiny little triangle. If you end up too big, you can pull some fiber off of your triangle and just keep making it smaller. Alrighty. Let's put a little roll underneath the eye. I'm just going to do this one by hand because it's so small. I have a 1-inch wisp. And I'm just going to roll it up in my fingers, about a 1/2 inch wide, and put it under the eye. So yeah, I want that to be significantly smaller than the brow on top. What time is it?
32.37.
Okay. I have a weird dent in this brow, so I'm going to make just another little piece to put on there. It's bothering me. So at this point, just so you guys can see, maybe everything's on, but I can still manipulate. I can still stab, I can still shift, and that's good because maybe I see something that, this is too puffy and I want to change it, or actually want this to come forward more, so I can kind of tease it and push it that way. There's a lot of refinement that happens after the shapes are felted on. Okay, let's make that little head triangle. And I think I'm just going to lay, yeah. I think I'm going to use some charcoal just for fun. And then put a little mix of this top coat and this copper on top, also just for fun. This is a little bit much. So I'm looking for just under a 2-inch square, not too much fiber here. Same with this. And then I'm gonna flip it. Oh, where'd that come from? I'm gonna flip it over so the brown is on the bottom. And I'm going to make a shape that sort of follows the end of a Zolitol. It's the Pope hat shape, we call it. So a little angle at the top. And then just straighten out on the sides. All right, I don't want to like over felt this, but I do want to flatten it out a bit. And I might end up taking a little bit off the back. But this is going to go from our nose, and I didn't felt this into a really tight point. I want it to not actually be a total point. I want it to have a little bit of flatness. And you don't have to put the charcoal in there. I just wanted to play around with a little more color. And then this is going to go on the top of the head, coming to the nose. And it should meet right up with the brows. I can't see the far side yet. Okay. I'm good. I'm on track. Thank you. Starting to be a thing.
Sarah, have you ever had a needle wear out to the point where you just don't use it anymore?
You did.
I did?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I feel like you used to say this doesn't work anymore. But I mean, maybe I've noticed that, but probably not. But it's hard for me to say because there's a lot of needles floating around here. So like I don't, I'm always using new ones pretty much, or different ones. Okay, I want to take a little bit of, I think, copper, put it on his cheek. I think I'm just going to go right direct. Sometimes I do a little fold. Well, it'll have a tiny fold. I'm going to stab it right under that eye and just let it fold down and blend into the oats and the, let me see what I did on this guy. All right. This side, I just took a little, like, kind of transparent piece that was big enough to span the cheek, stab it under that eye, and then fold it over. And sorry, I can't see as well from this side. I don't know. What are they saying?
Just
Was someone asking or were you asking?
how long do needles generally last?
And
it's just, yeah.
Long time. Yeah. If they don't get bent or broken, they last a long time.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. All right, we need some ears. It's adorable. How did I do the ears? Oh, these I had a little bit of pre-felt, I think I did. But I think I'll just flat felt the ears and then cut them. So we can use our copper. I would make little X's. I feel like that's like the strongest. So if you take an inch, split it in half, and then make an X or two little tufts. Let me look at the picture. And then, yeah, some of them you can see a little bit of pink, but there's not a ton of color variation. So I'm just going to put a little bit of pink on the front. And maybe, I didn't grab cinnamon. I only grabbed brown. Okay. And then I'm just gonna hit it hard with the punch tool. But basically, I'm trying to stab a really solid square inch here. Make sure you pull it off of your stab it often. But yeah, several punches front and back a few times should give you a nice little piece of felt. Right now I'm leaving all edges fringy because I don't know what's going to be the top or the bottom. Okay. I'm going to leave a little chestnutty, coppery, fringy bottom. Pick a direction like this. And then I think I'm going to put them together and cut them out together. So this is the bottom. And then I just real simple want to cut an oval. Or like a tongue depressor. Okay, then you can get your edges so that they don't look cut. This is a good job for the grab and stab. Just going around a little bit on those edges, locks them in.
Juliana asked, so when you're done, is it fairly solid?
The ear or the chipmunk?
I think she meant chipmunk.
It's like the consistency of like my forearm. I don't felt super hard. I like to strike the balance between it being very, it's going to hold up over time, be well felted, but it's not like it still has a little life and movement in it. Okay, and then his little ears get a pucker. You can even stab that before you put it on. It just helps. Let's see what I do. Okay. And then the fringe goes onto the head to hold it on. Let's see. Funny. So I'm just gonna let that blend into the head, the back. The nice thing about cutting is that if the ear ends up too big, you totally can cut it again. So as I get closer to finished is when I can really start, solidifying this, like the stabbing, and lock it all down. So the ears go behind the eye. They're turned out to the side. You want just a little bit of space between the ear and the eye. And I might put a bit of fiber. Like I've got a lot of seams sort of coming together here. So I'm going to stab some fiber in there. Give it a more natural look. So that one has some fiber in it. You can see the difference where I have folds and seams versus a bit of a blend. Their face markings do all kinds of different things, but in general, they have a little bit of darkness under their eye, so that might be a good place for a reverse needle. All right, I'll come to that in a second. Because I put that charcoal there, or you could stab, you can just stab a little bit, a wisp in. Might do a combo. Let's reverse. Oh, Oh, it could be, yeah. Thank you. Could be true. We use the boxes for many things. All right, so that's the direct approach. This is I'm pulling out charcoal and off white, so it's a little muddier. But let's try it on top here. Yeah, same thing. Kind of cool though. It's just a way to like blend everything, you know, just bring the face together, have it look a little more natural. I'll probably add a few markings onto the face. I'm trying to keep our time together under under 3 hours. So okay. So the face is mostly finished. I think a little black line in this case. I think I'm going to use charcoal actually. It's a little less severe. You could use carob or is going to help define the mouth. And I do like to give him a tiny little smile. So you can see this guy has a little smile going on. So yeah, you can spend time, you know, getting the nose nice and pointy and really stabbing away at stuff that maybe I'm not doing right now. So I just make a U, but then I just take the corner out a little bit. Putting a little strip in the middle too. Here. And some of them have a little pink around their face. I mean, their lips, like, I'll try that. They definitely need a little white in their eye. For that, I want to use Serafina white because it's nice and bright. And it is the most tiniest little amount. And I like to use a twist to make sure that I'm keeping it in a really small area. I just try to stab in the same place over and over again until it gets minimized. This piece ended up bigger. Alrighty. Any questions or anything?
No, it's pretty cool.
Okay. Okay, we have a few more steps. Tail, pelt, legs. I like to take the off-white or oats, whichever you want, and I put it across the legs here. So it's a bit of experimentation in terms of the mount, but usually I took, 2 inches and I took a piece of it and I restack it until I have this thin layer that I feel like is that triangle shape, that rhombus shape. And I put the wider end at the top of the leg and the narrower end at the bottom. We're just trying to get a little, I'll show it on the one that's finished and you can decide how you want to approach this, but just trying to get a little bit of width to the leg without wrapping and fattening it up. So this guy, he looks a little rough under here, but that is the step that I use to do that. And then on top of the leg, we put chestnut. And you can get fancy and mix oats and copper together towards the bottom. And then do a more solid color at the top. But there's no, I'm sure in the with the supply pack and the tutorial, I'm specific about which fibers you're using, but there's a lot of options. And then maybe do something more, I do like the copper. I don't know, I like it's a little more lively than the caramel. And then you can decide, like, am I going to fold, like, change these edges, roll them in? Am I just going to keep stabbing and let them be fringy? You could fold them onto themselves a little bit. Get a little bit more of a controlled look. But it's kind of like putting a sleeve on him. His arm is in there, but we're kind of dressing him with a sleeve. So it was the oat. Wait, what did I do? Oh no, I did off-white on the bottom. I'm stabbing into that wrapped arm. And then I put the mix at the bottom, bottom of the arm, top of the arm. Lower half of the arm, top of the arm.
You don't remove older tutorials when you update them, do you, with a new one?
Do you know, Talbot, did we remove the old pony? Or did we put it in the don't watch this?
Yeah.
We might have made a playlist that's called, well, I think it used to be called Don't Watch These. Just in case you wanted to press the button. That has old tutorials.
Okay.
Now he can fly.
Outdated, but kept around for history.
It's the playlist. I don't know if you guys heard that. Outdated, but kept around for history. Now he's my little friend. He's officially crossed the threshold into our friendship. Okay, I see a few things I want to address as we go. I'm gonna put a little bit of Serafina white, and I think I'm gonna blend it with off-white chunky core, because the off-white chunky core is too, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see, is too warm, and the Serafina white is like too cool. So I'm gonna blend them together, and I'm just gonna put it across underneath the chin and cheeks. How's everybody doing? Do you guys have coffee, tea, wine? Or have you fallen asleep?
Some people were saying that they were just watching now.
Yeah,
Couldn't
yeah.
keep up.
It is. It's hard to keep up. I know it.
Now I'm looking up flying squirrels.
Yeah,
Wow.
flying squirrels are super cool. So on these cheeks where it goes from the copper to the oats to this white, I'm probably gonna do some like reverse needling and get things blended. All right, why is this ear so gigantic?
Jan has Mountain Dew with chocolate cookies.
Whoa, going for it.
Pear cider.
Oh, that sounds good.
Does sound good. Coffee and brownies.
Pear cider, that's a thing. I want that.
There's all sorts of
There's a whole cider industry now.
cherry, pear. Mary has them falling asleep. The cloudy weather makes her sleepy.
Oh,
And-
damn it.
No, and Sarah, you do have a really soothing voice and personality.
We're gonna start our meditation channel. I can't meditate. This is it. This is the extent of our meditation. Stabbing. Surrendering, putting down your needles.
ASMR with needle.
Yes, it is. I'm fading. I'm like he's cute. let's do the pelt. The hind legs need the same treatment, but I want to we can go ahead and bust that out. I want to kind of blend it all with the pelt. So I'm just gonna take the off-white little section, restack it as narrow as I can, and I'm not gonna go all the way out the foot, just down to the hock, but same treatment, just go across here. Yeah, it's Friday afternoon, like, been a busy week.
Wind.
Yeah, I know. I did have some coffee. It's a lot. This is a big project. All right, I'm not going to do anything on the top until I see, because my pelt should be about the size of my palm and go over this whole thing. Now, when I did, yeah, I'm going to mix it up just so that we sort of perk back up. When I did this guy, I actually used Sinopia pre-felt. You can see that. I used it in his tail. You can see that darker color in there. And that was nice just to have a felt started. But I think I will, so I think I will use brown just to be weird. But whatever core you use, you're going to do about a 3-inch piece and then about a 4-inch piece and then a little longer than a 4-inch piece. Not quite. Yeah, I guess it's 5. I don't want you to get too crazy. Don't get too crazy. So when you put your palm on it, you know, you don't, oh, I'm going to scoop my palm over here. Like, we don't want a ton of fiber excess. And I was looking at pictures and some of them do get a little dark down their legs, so I thought this might be a fun thing to try. But just use cinnamon or caramel or copper or whatever you have. But not white. This is the pelt we want it to be. We want it to be brown.
Tony is asking about the newsletter. Will it be resent out, or is there a place they can go?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I asked Kyla if she could like we used to be able to link it. If you could view it as a link. So I don't think we'll resend it because for the portion of people that got it, that would be annoying maybe. So I'll figure out how to put it on the Facebook page. I don't know what's going on. I didn't get it. So I don't know what's happening. We announced the Heat and Bond. We announced the Dragonfly live stream, the new Shetland colors. You know, there's quite a bit going on, so it was a little weird to me that it didn't seem to go. Yeah, the Heat and Bond. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, so that looks good. That's his little clothes. I'm gonna go a tiny bit narrower because I want my chestnut to come out beyond the dark. But I'm using the dark because I think it's gonna be cool to pull it out along his back. They're like sometimes a little darker in this center strip between the black strips. And so then let's put some copper on the edges here. Is that Milo?
Milo's all front.
I'm letting the wisps like come out farther than the brown. And then I'm gonna put this. This is kind of like the chestnut that we used to have. Which is included in the supply pack. I don't want to get too crazy, like bulky or anything. But I'm going to turn it over and stab it from the other side down the center because I feel like that's going to push that dark brown through. I love the pelt technique. It's perfect for this. Now the other thing we want to do is go ahead and get a black stripe on there. And I think I will use black because if I needle out, if I reverse needle that brown through, it will temper the black a little bit with some other natural colors. Yeah, I'm gonna go at a not user friendly pace, and perhaps I have been this entire time. And then we can go ahead and put 2 more black stripes just about 1/4 inch away. It's a little thinner. And I don't extend these as far. They kind of go between the front leg and the back leg, so they're not as long. And I'll refine them once I put it on the body, but this just is a start. And then we want to put white. Okay. I wonder what their markings are about. Will you Google why the chipmunks is marked the way they are? What are chipmunks markings for?
Well, what I read is that it helps, like,
Camouflage in the forest. It makes sense because that's why a tiger has the orange, black, and white. It mimics the broken up
trees
shadows of the
and-
trees.
yeah.
The sun, the dappled sunlight. Alright, I'm not gonna like over stab because I want to make sure this is all in the right place. Okay, we start by getting it centered, putting his little coat on. Can pull a little bit off the front and off the back. You might have to angle your needles when you stab this on because of the wire. So you're kind of going off to one side of the wire and then off to the other side of the wire. But this takes quite a bit of stabbing. And I want to keep my stripe in a manageable width. I don't want it to get, they can get wide if you're not conscientiously stabbing it into the right place. So the pelt helps lose the neck a little bit, which is what we want. And I want the white stripe to end right behind the shoulder and right in front of the little thigh here. And then this can just travel down that arm that we filled out and blend in with it. And underneath, I'm going to go across with some Sara white. So the thighs are completely encompassed. And then, yeah, you just kind of turn these edges over, stab it on itself. And we need one more black stripe. So at this point, it's a good idea to get him into chipmunk pose.
Jean asked what happened to the magical and mystical colors.
Oh. Yeah. I was excited about those. I still am excited about those. What happened was, I'm not talking stat. Dante is temperamental, and the mystical colors, they're gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm trusting in the divine timing of things. I wanted to include part of what makes them mystical and magical is having a lot of silk in them and being dynamic. And so that idea came about right before the time that we switched from the hand carters to Dante. Things like the landscape bats are still made on the I'm saying hand carters. It's a smaller drum carter because they need to be put in a certain way to maintain either the ombre or the stripes or whatever they have going on in them. So Dante does not like really fine fibers, especially when it's a lack of humidity. So it is a dilemma of how to mass produce something that at this point I only know how to produce on a small scale. And I will figure it out because they're going to be great. So that is a good question. I appreciate that question because I actually put quite a bit of work into formulating them and naming them, which is always the fun part. What time is it?
3:20.
Okay, we're gonna do a little tail and head for our various hibernations and or weekend plans. Ooh, it's a holiday weekend. Hope you guys all have good things planned. Let's see what I did. I just went across. Okay. I'm leaving that black there because I think I'm going to use it. I went across with off-white. Get it as short as you can, which might require a restack. I probably could have wrapped this one more time, but I'll just show this technique. It's the same as we do it in the tutorial. I'm gonna put a little bit of Seraphina white on there. We got it on the belly, so nothing wrong with more fluff. And I think I'll put one piece this way. I just put a thin piece long ways just to help stabilize everything. And I'm stabbing it on both sides of the felted, the wrapped wire. And you're going to do a little more stabbing than I'm doing here. And then on the top, we can put a little array. Let's see what they do. Sometimes they have more pronounced stripes. I think that's going to get a little overworked looking, so I'm just going to keep it. I'm going to keep it loose. Put a little brown in there. That, and then I'm going to put some top coat on it. It's feeling strong. Put copper. And then I'm gonna put this black stripe right on there. It does need a little bit. I'm putting the thinnest amount of this chestnut top coat that I have. I mean, you could get fancy and shingle the tail top and bottom. But I think with a good bit of stabbing, this technique works well and looks good. He is. Just coming over to you. I like to leave animals around on Kyla and Talbot's desks. Talbot still has the first fuzzy kitten hanging out over there. It's like a marshmallow potato, like
Considering how clean this
weird little thing. You gonna show it off? Stick it in the camera. This was the 10th one.
Jump scare.
There's like this guy whose Instagram I like, and he jump ropes like a maniac, and it's incredible. And he put up a video showing all the fails, all that it took to make 10 seconds worth of. And I appreciated that he showed, you know, the fails, but man, there's there's a lot of trial and error behind the scenes. Oh, I might just stand up for a minute. This is good. So this is going to take a bit of fiber off, especially because this is a lot of core wool, but it's also going to show me what's loose and pull stuff into a little more natural looking state here. Okay, before I say goodbye, I'm going to see how the reverse needle works on the back. It's good. It just needs a little more stabbing. What did I put in here? Brown, right? Yeah, that's not working because it's getting the white. This is what I mean about reverse needling. You really need to have a plan. So it's taken, because it has white core
Oh,
under
too
there,
much.
it's going down. Yeah, getting the white core out. It likes to pull what's firmly felted, and like the wrapped white body is more tight than the brown pelt, so it's pulling that out. Well, so another option would be when you make your pelt, just put a third like slightly darker color in the center before you put your stripes on. Okay, he has one good hand. He has a lovely tail.
Yes.
He needs little work around his body. But I think he's ready to come visit somebody. It's cute. Yeah. Is anybody still with us?
Yes. A luxurious chipmunk with a luxurious tail.
Yeah, he does have a luxurious tail. Yeah, but there's a lot. There's a lot I could do, like little, so maybe some little color changes on the face. I don't know. One of the things I like about the way that we put shapes on is that they kind of naturally make little differences, and as long as you don't have, you're happy with them and you don't have a bunch of seams or weird lines, you definitely need to get rid of those. But yeah, I think he's dashing. I think this guy's now a little jealous. This guy, yeah.
New guy in town.
All right, can't wait to see your chipmunks. Hope that you'll share them in the group. That is Serafina Felting Fanfare, for those of you who have stumbled upon this YouTube video out of nowhere. We share our projects there. Anything else anybody needs to know?
Everyone's saying thank you, and it's cute.
Good. No, yes, I have more work to do too. But I'm pleased with what we accomplished today, for sure. And I hope that using colors, variations of colors different than the supply pack and the previous tutorial, if you have watched both and you plan on making chipmunks, gives you some bravery and freedom in terms of mixing it up. This is a good project to do that, because you're going to stick with things, chestnuts and tans, and but there's a lot of options for that. So it's a good opportunity to experiment with maybe some fiber that you haven't before. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday weekend. Get into something good, refresh, and stay tuned for whatever we do next. I don't know. I think we have a kitten felt along coming up, I believe.
After
Dragonfly.
And dragonflies. Kitten felt along was on the radar because everybody wanted to know how to do a tabby. Let's stick with the dragonfly. I'll see you at the dragonfly for sure, and I'll let you know about the kittens. Thank you.